yes, it was a different time, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What sticks out? Like, how would you describe your time, like working like with Judith, like you said, and like Tony Danza and Alyssa? Like, just what's the overall, like, what was it like to work with them?
Perfect. Like, it couldn't have been a better experience. For all of those years, we really did come together as a family. I mean, we were doing Christmas gifts. I was getting Judith mom, like Merry Christmas mom stuff, and I was getting Catherine, like uh, grandma stuff. And, I loved being there. Alyssa and I had like iffy moments, but that was really just because she was teenager and I was younger brother, and she was just like, get out of here, and slammed the door in my face. Nothing like specifically no malice to it, just older sister younger brother things. And um overall it was great. Near the in the final few seasons of the show, some more trauma was created for sure, in that the producers didn't know what to do with me. Here's this sort of little kid who's different and probably gay, and I can just imagine them trying to write scripts and being like, well, we could have him have a girlfriend. And then, they'd probably be like, yeah, no one's going to believe that. And of course, this is all hindsight. Like, I did not understand in the last few seasons why they had such a hard time finding good material for me. And it was always the same thing. Guys, I'm a talented actor. I've been in some really dramatic stuff. Give me an episode. Like, there's no reason why we can't do a full episode about Jonathan and something interesting or serious or weird or whatever it might be. And it just ended up being like, he sticks his hand in a mustard jar. Oh no, and two lines, three lines at the most. And then the final season they bring this little boy in because I obviously wasn't providing them little boy energy anymore. And that felt even worse because he had, 10, 15 lines per episode, and here I am with like two. Um, so it really sent me for a loop in a way. It just made me feel not wanted. I didn't feel like anybody wanted me there. And what I realize now in hindsight after a lot of therapy and and life passing is that it really just was they didn't know what to do with me. And I can't fault them for them. At that time there's no way they could do anything other than silly storylines. We're not, and I'm not actually aware of my sexuality at that time, so it's not like they could say, "Hey, would you like to do a episode about you figuring out?" Like, could you even imagine that happening in 1980? No. So, um,
No, no, and especially not the fact that you ended at what, like 16 or something like
yeah,
that.
and
So
also that too. Yeah, of course. Nowadays, it's not that it would be great to see storylines because kids are just figuring it out so much earlier. Now it would be like, oh, that's happening a lot. But back in, the late 80s, early 90s, that's just not a thing.
and you didn't like throughout the run of Who's the Boss, like you didn't realize you yourself were gay necessarily.
In hindsight, I had had some sort of thoughts about it. I definitely was internally sort of I didn't understand the thoughts. But the other thing you have to remember too is that I never got to do the what do I want to be when I grow up thing that kids do. I didn't get
Yeah.
to figure any of that out until after Who's the Boss ended. So I was confused as to whether it was that I just didn't know who I was as a person because all I knew was being, a child actor, or was there something deeper going on that I just wasn't willing to process? I think it's a combination of all of the above, honestly. Um,
And you, right. And you, so then you certainly didn't have the awareness of like, maybe that's not why they're writing me these lines. It's because I'm gay,
yeah,
because you didn't even realize it either at that point. It was
no,
just like,
no.
why am I getting two lines when everyone else is getting a
Yeah.
lot?
And remember, I didn't actually come out or sort of really start to process any of this until halfway through Stanford. I mean, up until that point, I had multiple girlfriends. I had a girlfriend all through high school. I dated several girls at Stanford. I met a girl here in LA and actually asked her to marry me. And broke up with her by telling her that I thought I might be bisexual or gay and was trying to figure out what that meant. And she actually was there when I told my parents. She said, I love him. I still love him, and I'm helping him get through this. So yeah, I mean, I was. We would be married with multiple kids at this point if I hadn't figured out that I was gay for sure.
Wow. When
Yeah.
Alyssa was slamming the door at you, like, did you realize that it was just like Big Sister, or were you just like, I mean, or did you take this like, she was a big part of the show and like,
Yeah.
why
No,
is
I
like
didn't
Big
take it
Sister?
personally. If anything, I sort of added it to the list of nobody really wants me to be here, you know. Um, but the what she did wasn't really trauma inducing at all. It was just little brother, older sister stuff.
It was really just the work and we don't know what to do with him. And
Yeah, really, for sure. After the show, and because we weren't able to create a relationship while filming, she was the person I talked to the very least for at least 10 years after Who's the Boss, solely because we just never developed that sort of bond. And then it wasn't until the Oprah moment that she, like, I think we had both, sorry, I need a sip of water.
it's fine. I've been drinking coffee this whole time. So
Um, I don't know what happened, but she, if you go back, I think if I remember correctly, God, it was what, 7 years ago now. She found out on The View that I had just come out as being HIV positive, and was totally caught off guard. And she has a bit of a teary moment in that. Have you ever seen her on The View for that?
yeah, I thought I mean, I could be wrong. I thought it was the talk, but I don't know. It's one of them.
Oh, yeah, maybe
Maybe
the
it was
talk.
the view. You might
No,
be
it was
right.
probably the talk. One of the two. They're interchangeable in my brain.
Yes.
Um,
I agree.
but right after that episode, I got a text from her, and it just, our relationship since that moment has developed extra a lot.
A lot. So like after, so I mean, right. So you didn't really know you were gay. Like you said, probably the producers knew because they were, like, let's not give you. So you never had, because like Jonathan had girls, I mean, different
Yeah,
episodes. You never felt strange about that. Like this is because you really just didn't know. So it felt
I really just didn't know, and I was dating girls at the time, and so and in fact, if I think back about it, I was probably asking them for more episodes where I interacted with girls, because also, of course, my parents are also sort of pushing that narrative, right? And we wanted to try to make me like a teen heartthrob, and that just never took off. Like, we tried really hard, and I was in a bunch of Teen Beat magazines. There's this really great picture of me in like Z Cavaricci's with no shirt on, just a jacket over top, like. I don't know what we were thinking. They wanted me to try to be like a pop singer, because at the time Alyssa was super popular in Japan with a couple of songs she released. So we tried that, and just nothing stuck. And I couldn't figure out why, but it was just girls weren't, it was all the little boys at home that were going, oh, he's so cute. And if every day I get a message from someone, or, a note on a post of, gosh, you were my crush when I was a kid, and it's all men, it's all